With Python, it's easy to make professional-looking charts with a module called Matplotlib. On the Matplotlib webpage, you can see some examples of plots and charts that you can make. They range from the simple to the complex. In today's video, I'll show you how to make 3 charts: a pie chart, a bar chart, and a stacked bar chart. Are you ready? Let's go. So because we've been in the middle of a pandemic for the last few weeks, I've been looking at a lot of data and charts related to the COVID-19 outbreak. And I took 3 screenshots off of the state of Colorado's webpage in regards to this pandemic. So let me show you the data that we're going to use to create charts. This table right here represents the age group and the cases that have been reported. We'll use this data to make a pie chart. Next is a screenshot that I took of the cumulative number of hospitalized cases. As you can see, this is just a simple bar chart. We'll duplicate this in Python. And I also wanted to do this one. In Matplotlib, this is called a stacked bar chart. It's a bar chart, but you have different categories stacked upon one another. We have 3 categories in this one: not hospitalized in gray, hospitalized in light blue, and then deaths in dark blue. Alright, let me show you the environment we're using. I'm using PyCharm to do this project. Now remember, we need the Matplotlib module. In PyCharm, you can add it by going to PyCharm Preferences, and in this menu you want to select Project Interpreter. And here is a list of the libraries that are installed in my environment. And you can see here we have Matplotlib 3.2.1. So if you need to add an additional module in PyCharm, you would click the Add button here and then type in the name of the module that you want. Select it and then hit Install Package. If you're using a different environment, you'll have to install the Matplotlib library in order to use it. So let's first look at the code for the pie chart. Now here's the data that we're using. And instead of typing all this code, which would be very tedious, I'll just explain what it means. The first one is the labels. So as you can see here, we have the age groups, including an unknown category. So I put those in an array. The next is an array called sizes, and these represent the percentage of cases. So we have the cases column here, and I put those values in this array. The next is an array called colors. In Matplotlib, you can color the wedges of the pie. So I just picked a few standard ones and some additional ones and put them in here. Now keep in mind, the length of these arrays has to match. This next one is called explode. This is an option to move the wedges out of the circle to give it a different look, and you'll see that once we run it. And here's the command to create the pie chart. We have our sizes array, and then the options here are to explode, labels, colors. This auto percent option is to format the size of each array. For example, 1.1f would mean that we have 1 spot after the decimal place. Shadow true, this gives a little bit of shading on the pie chart, and the start angle is the angle at which the pie chart is moved from 2D. And then we have some options here. The axis equal function just makes the circle circular. You can look up this value in the documentation. You can put different scalar values so the circle would take a different shape. We have a title, and this function right here, tight laid out, is used if you have a lot of information and you want it all to fit in a picture. You use this. And then this command here actually saves it to a file, which is very important. So if you want to take this chart and put it in a presentation, you can do that. And this one right here, plt.show, actually shows it, and you'll see in PyCharm that it'll display it over here on the right. Okay, now that we got this coded up, let me go ahead and run this. Okay, over here you can see the show command showed it in PyCharm. It puts it over here, and also this is a file that it created. Since I didn't specify a particular directory, it just put this PNG file in the directory we're working in. Let me go ahead and double click it. Alright, so here's the chart, and this looks pretty good. You can see that these wedges in here are exploded out. We have the different colors and then the percentages. Just one spot after the decimal point. And that looks pretty good. Alright, now let's tackle the next one. Let's go for the bar chart. Now the bar chart is straightforward, and each of these bars had a particular value, and I went ahead and got those off the State of Colorado website and put them in arrays up here. This one, or this one's called dates. As you can see here, this one will represent the labels on these x-axis ticks down here, and they only labeled every 5 days or so. So what I did, I wanted to label every day, but I just started with March 12th, and then when it got to April, I put the APR in here. And this next line right here, this uses NumPy, which is another module. It's Matplotlib is dependent on it, so when I downloaded and installed Matplotlib, NumPy also downloaded. What this does is it takes the length of this array and then it arranges it, spaces it out, and gives you an arrangement. So when these bars are put down in the chart, they're evenly spaced. And the performance, this is actually the Y values. So this one is 9, 13, and so forth, and as you can see, it increases. So these are just the values of the bars. And to create the bar here, this is all the information that you need. We're going to tell the bar how to arrange the x-axis. We're going to space it out. We have our data, the bar data. Here's the alignment, and this just talks about the width of the bar. And then we have the x ticks. We're going to space them out, and then we're going to put these dates here. And I use this rotation equals 90. That way when we lay down the dates, when it says March 12th, for example, it's going to go vertical. And it'll look better on the chart because it gets kind of crowded in there. And then we have our labels, hospitalized cases, and then the title. And as you saw from the pie chart, we have a tight layout, and then we're going to save it in a file called bar.png. So let's go ahead and run this. And we'll go ahead and pull up the file that we saved. Man, it looked pretty good. So as you can see here, that rotation, I'm going to turn this vertical. It just seemed to fit better on this chart. And it looks pretty good compared to the when we were trying to duplicate. Alright, so let's tackle our last chart, and that is a stacked bar chart. Let me pull up this data here. As you can see, we're stacking basically bars on top of one another. So it's a bar chart on top of a bar chart and so forth. So in this one we have 3 categories. Not hospitalized, hospitalized, and deaths. They're stacked upon one another in a particular order. And if you notice that the number of deaths is the fewest among age groups, so they put the on top. So we'll do that as well. And then the category with the highest values is not hospitalized, so we'll put those on the bottom. Over here on the y-axis, number of cases, and then on the x-axis we have the age groups. So let's go ahead and look at this code. Similar to the bar chart, we have our labels that will represent our x-axis. Not hospitalized, hospitalized and deaths, these are all arrays. They're going to stack upon one another. So for example, in the deaths, we'll look at this one. For the first two categories, there's no values, and then it increases as the ages increase. And then hospitalized and the hospitalized, same thing. We have those values in here. Width of the bars. This is arbitrary. You can mess with this value to make your chart look good. Okay, so we're going to create subplots here, and then here are the 3 commands to create the bars. A couple things to note here. Number 1, look at this option here called bottom. So what we're doing is when we're creating deaths, for example, we're specifying that this is on top of hospitalized and not hospitalized. Deaths are on top of hospitalized and not hospitalized. That's what we're specifying here. So for hospitalized, if we look at this, which is this light blue, it's on top of not hospitalized. And that's why we specified that here. And then not hospitalized, this is just simply on the bottom. Now you notice that we created this array here and we put these bars inside of it. And the reason we did this, it's not required, is we're going to label in our chart each of these bars. As you can see in this one, each of these is labeled. So put that in a list. And then down here, if we want to show the values in the bars, and I just set it to true for this one, we have to go through a couple loops here, and then for each bar, put the value in each bar. The syntax is rather, it's a little bit complex, but let me just talk you through it. So what we're going to do is for each of these bars, 1, 2, 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. What we're going to do is we're going to get the width of each bar and the height. These are basically scalars, so it's saying get the bar, height, and width. And what we're going to do is we're just going to divide it in half, height and the width. So right in the middle we'll put the value. For the format, we're going to use this, which is just a percentage format. It's a strange syntax, but it's just going to say use 1 decimal point, and then we're going to use the height, or h, which is the value of the y value. We're going to put this in the center. Alright, I think these things will become clear once we run this. We're going to have a title here, a legend, and then we're going to save it as stack bar. So let's go ahead and run this, and we can talk about it more. And there we go. Let me go ahead and pull up the... Okay, so let's take a look at this here. And here we have the stack bar. As you can see that we have deaths stacked on top of hospitalized and not hospitalized. And everything looks to be in place. It gets these labels here, when we label the bars itself, it can get a little squished on top of one another. So if you don't want these values in the stack bar chart, you can simply change that to false. Alright, well, all these look pretty good. If there's a particular chart that you want me to create from Matplotlib, just let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.